Welcome back to Fit for Real Life with Virginia. Today, I am genuinely excited because we are diving into a conversation with someone whose content to me feels like a warm hug for busy women everywhere. I'm talking about the amazing Natalie Johnson, the creator behind Home Begins with Love. If you love modern homemaking, home cooking, and practical kitchen tips that prioritize family time above everything else, you already know why she's so loved. Natalie is a homeschooling mom of five, and before she ever hit record on social media, I'm sure, like all of us, she had a very full life at home and a passion for making family-centered life feel doable. Today, we get to peel back how she does it, the mindset behind her routines, and how she keeps things running without losing herself in the process. Natalie, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to chat.
Well, thank you for having me. My goodness, what a warm welcome.
Oh, it's the least I can do. I always feel like your Instagram, you are exactly, I feel like how you appear online. And before we dive in, I have to tell you, I showed my husband a couple of your videos last night,
Oh
and I
yeah?
showed him the beef summer sausage.
Yes.
And he was like, I could totally make that. And I was like, then she's for
Good.
you, right?
Yes. Anyone can make that. I have had so many people say, I can actually do that. I'm like, yes, that's the whole point. I'm not trying to show recipes that are like insane. Like these
Right?
are things that you actually can make.
Yes. And then I showed him the mashed potato leftover.
Yeah.
Is it like a potato cake? I don't
Yeah.
even. And
Yeah.
we made it this morning, and my son was like, I will absolutely eat this. This is so good. It was
That-
fabulous.
That's what I love to hear.
Yeah. Okay, so before Home Begins with Love existed, what did life look like for you? What were you doing? And what ultimately pushed you into sharing your life homemaking online?
So my background's actually in chemical engineering. I worked out of college, I got married, had babies. We were living in central Illinois and Peoria for many, many years. And then we moved to Cincinnati suburbs in 2019. And my kids were actually in private Catholic school. So we were not homeschooling at the time. And then COVID happened. We ended up homeschooling, and it was like, well, this is amazing. So we decided to keep homeschooling after that. And I just, plugging along, doing homemaking with the kids. And there were two things that really nudged me to consider doing something on Instagram specifically was I went to a conference and there was a speaker and they were actually specifically talking about teens and social media. And he was saying like the comparison would be, are you consuming social media or are you contributing to social media? And so for me, I've always wanted to be the kind of parent who's like actively participating. I don't want to be like head in the sand pretending. I mean, the world is the way that it is. And of course, I want to protect my kids, but I also want to teach them, especially as they get older now that I have a teenagers coming up, and how to navigate those things. And at the time, I was just consuming social media. I was watching it as a passive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, especially, I wanted to be contributing to it, especially because the speaker was saying, if you want it to be a place where your kids would want to be, or you'd want your kids to be there, you need to make it that. And I also saw that in homeschooling, like I got to make this the way I would want it to be for my children. So that was a nudge for me. And I've always heard, what is it that you love sharing and that people come to you about? And it's often things, the kind of stuff I post anyway. And then the name for Home Begins with Love came because I've always loved Saint Mother Teresa. She said in her Nobel speech when she won in, I think, 1979, she was talking about if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. So love begins at home. That was her big quote. Love begins at home. That is the biggest way you can change the world. And so it's a kind of a play on that home, love begins at home. So I did Home Begins with Love because I do homemaking, homeschooling, home cooking, home life.
I love that. I think so many women would hear that and say, this is very relatable, right? A struggle maybe through COVID that turned out into something that became more positive for your family.
Mhm.
I do really admire how you do seem to have everything just totally together. Your kitchen always looks great. And I
Oh,
admire that you wear an apron. And it's so
oh,
funny because I never do. But my grandmother, growing up, she was like the homemaker sort of role model
yeah,
for me. And she
yeah.
always had an apron. And I laugh because she would be horrified that I don't wear an
Oh,
apron.
I am team apron all the way. Like if it's like 10 o'clock or later in the day, I'm wearing an apron because I got a place for my phone and then like I've got a place to like put stuff and then I can, if I'm grabbing from the basement, I can just flip the apron up and drop a bunch of stuff and hold it. Like I'm team apron all the way.
It's very practical. I think too,
Yes.
your aprons are so cute. You might convert me.
Christmas is coming, you know.
It's true. It's true. If anybody's listening out there, right? Okay, one of the things that I think I love, and I'm sure your audience loves too, is that you're not performing homemaking, right? You're living it.
Yes.
I think so much to me on Instagram can feel performative, right? It doesn't feel like it's real life, but
Hmm.
you set up in your kitchen, you show us your everyday life. Sometimes you're in your basement working out.
Yep.
What did your channel look like before it does today? Did it always look like this, or have you sort of evolved into things?
I would say the first year I was probably kind of figuring out what would work on Instagram. And I'll be honest, I do of course want to share my life, but I also would like to make money eventually on Instagram and make it we are a single income household, and that's with 5 kids. And in the state of Ohio, we pay for homeschooling supplies. Like there's no kickback. And it's crazy how different states have different rules. Like some states you actually get all this money. We get nothing. So
Oh,
curriculum, activities, everything we have to pay for. So it's definitely, and I was a working professional chemical engineer
yeah.
before I quit my job to stay home with the kids. So, um, just transparency. I would love to make money a substantial for my family eventually, but I've always said the real true goal is to be myself and to encourage people to live that the homemaking life. There's nothing wrong with being at home with your kids, or even if you're working, to serve your family in some capacity. Like I think sometimes in society we only can we can only find ways to celebrate people who can reach like milestones. And there's not a lot of milestones in parenting or homemaking because you're always making dinner, you're always cooking, you're always cleaning. It's never ending. So I would say the first year of Instagram, I was really just trying to figure out what would work and then I kind of found my groove probably this year with the recipes. I don't do a ton of homeschooling content in like reels and stuff, but I definitely talk about it in stories all the time. And my kids are around all the time, so they're in a lot of stuff with me. So that's kind of how it has evolved. And it's been really fun to learn a new skill. Like I think learning how to be on Instagram and edit and social media, it is, as you probably know, there's a lot of skill involved. And I didn't know any of that stuff when I
Right.
first started.
I know. I think too, like when I think back of when I started my channel from scratch, I was like, I don't even know what people would find interesting. But I do think, as you mentioned, it does evolve and you just sort of find your groove. I also have found myself not caring as much, right? Not wanting to be as, perfect, right? Sometimes
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the ponytail and it's the no
Yes.
makeup. And I do think that's relatable, right? And I do find that although you always look great, you're always very relatable, right? And I think too, like being in your kitchen, there's something warm about that. We do feel like we're kind of in the kitchen with you.
And I
Do
don't
you,
have, I see some people with these beautiful modern kitchens. And of course, I'd love
gosh,
to remodel them. I think I talked about it today on stories. I'd love
yeah,
to remodel my kitchen someday. But like, this is what it is. And honestly, I think most people probably aren't in like their dream homes. And that's okay. That you can still enjoy. And like, I love hosting. And I think people just want to be invited. They want to be invited in, whether it's online or in person. They want to be invited into like a genuine life and family. And I think that's beautiful.
yeah. What kind of led you into sharing the cooking online? Was it just because that's what resonated with people, or is that what you just really like when the camera's not there, is that what you really love to do? You really love to cook, or
Yeah, I mean, you saw I'm wearing an apron all the time. I'm cooking all the time. People ask, like, are you ever just not cooking? I'm like, honestly, I feel like I'm just always cooking. Maybe it's because I have 5 kids who are literally home all the time, so we're always making something. Um, but I've always enjoyed cooking too. And actually, with chemical engineering, a lot of people go into the food industry. So I've always loved mixing things and experimenting. Like I would say baking, I love to follow recipe because you have to have precise measurements. But then cooking, I'm like, oh, let's throw this in, let's check this out, and we're gonna eat it, even if it's not like perfect. But then there's always room for improvement.
it's true. Talk to me about homeschooling. My kids are in a traditional school. What does homeschooling look like? Is it,
Yeah.
I know you mentioned a co-op, but I'm just not really familiar with what that is.
So I think homeschooling looks different for like every single family. And I would say there are different seasons for different styles of homeschooling. Because I have a teenager all the way down to a 3-year-old. So what my teenager is doing is very different than like what my 7-year-old is doing. But we are part of our family does a once a week co-op. And then all the other days of the week, we are at home homeschooling. Although honestly, there are so many opportunities, especially where we live, because there's a lot of homeschoolers. I have to say no to things so that we can be home and actually like get school done.
Wow.
So we've gone through seasons of doing different activities. Like coming up, we actually like to ski, and so we bought ski passes so that we'll be skiing some days of the week, and then because honestly, with younger kids, they can get their schoolwork done in just a couple of hours. in the morning.
Yeah.
And even my teenager, it's such a great skill because she can learn time management. So she can get schoolwork done at this time, and then she can go ski with us and then get schoolwork done at nighttime. Um, as far as a teenager goes, she has some online college classes. She does some co-op classes. I'm teaching chemistry to her and some friends this year. It's a hodgepodge of things.
Wow.
And then my younger kids, we do different curriculums. We pick and choose. Some people with homeschooling, they'll choose one thing and do it all the way through, but we're kind of a grab this and that. I actually have one kid who has a learning disability, so we have to navigate that, and she has dyslexia, so it's it's we do all the different things for
Yeah.
homeschooling.
I love that it sounds like it gives you so much flexibility, not
It
just
does.
in the learning space,
Yes.
but in that sort of family time. Thinking about like an 8 to 5 job, like going skiing in the middle of the week, I gotta say, sounds pretty great.
I will say it's fun. Like we in the past, we've never had a full pass. We've done these like field trips, but then this year we're like, we're gonna commit, we're gonna buy the pass because you can do like a Monday through Friday at this local mountain by us, and so it won't be crowded. We can
Yeah,
show up, we can ski for a couple hours, go
right.
home, and enjoy it, hopefully.
And everybody's tired and hungry and wants a snack all over again, right?
Exactly. We're just gonna make more food.
I love that. So, what does modern homemaking look like for you? How do you define that? I know that's part of your Instagram profile,
Yes.
and some people like me, Gen X, kind of growing up with working parents, and as I mentioned, I was more in the homemaking realm with my grandmother, so
Yes.
I feel like it might look a little different in the modern sense.
I kind of look at it, I like that catchphrase of like modern homemaking just because it's like I think it can apply to whatever perspective you have on your home. So it's like making your home what you want it to be. And so I think that the old timey idea of my homemaking would be a woman at home cooking with her apron on with for kids, which is kind of me in a way. But I'm also out and about skiing with my children. We're going to different classes together. I would like to think it's a modern take on like a classic traditional life at home with your kids.
Yeah, I love that. I think some people are like, that sounds like something that's very doable.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, you make it so approachable. Do your kids have chores? Like you've got
Oh
kind of
yeah.
a range there. So how do
Yes.
they all sort of contribute? Because I do think too that might put more of a modern spin on homemaking, right? Where
Oh
the
yeah.
kids are more involved.
I don't fold towels at all. I will tell you that. I've not folded a towel in like 10 years because once my kids hit about age 6, they like kids can fold towels. So they fold I'll literally have a hamper there and those young kids, they're folding towels. I'll help them put them away, of course. Now that I have such a wide range of kids, I've got one kid collects all the trash in the house, another kid vacuums every single day. They all do their own laundry. So I've got my
Oh,
teenager does her own laundry, and then actually I go boy, girl, boy, girl, boy. So
oh,
my teen does her own laundry, and then the two boys, they do their laundry together, and then the two younger girls do their laundry together. And I'll help them. But honestly, it's like they know what their pants look like. They can take their pants and put it into a drawer. So they all do that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think what else, like day to day. Oh, every single day we do a cleanup time, probably around 4:45, 5, because it used to stress us out so much when, my house, as you can imagine, us being home, it gets trashed. I mean, especially, and honestly, it's the 3-year-old that does 90% of the mess because she's pulling stuff out. She's executing like a search warrant while we're trying to homeschool, trying to find stuff. But around 5 o'clock, it would be so messy and when I had younger kids. And then my husband would get home from work and it was just, chaos. And
yeah,
so I started this years ago where I say, okay, we're going to clean up, whatever time it is. And then if you finish before I'm done cooking dinner, you can watch TV, you can play on the iPad. Now in the summer months, that changes a little bit because, we're outside more, but especially in the winter, it is so nice to have a clean, calm house
yeah,
and then have dinner. And then we can move on to the night. Maybe we make a mess again, but whatever. But at least there's a reset time built into our day so that Chris doesn't come home and like, not that he would expect it to be this way, but it's just nice to have like
yeah.
a more calm environment. And dangling the carrot of like TV or iPad is like very incentivizing for kids to get it done, like clean up the
Right.
house.
I think you did an Instagram, was it a story where it was like, are you the person who has to clean the kitchen before you cook?
Oh
Or
yeah, that was a real, yeah. I can
was
walk
that
past the dirty kitchen, no problem.
right?
Yeah.
It's so funny because I was like, I don't know about all that, but I do know like it has to be clean before I go to bed. Like I
Oh yeah.
hate waking up to a dirty kitchen. I don't know, it
Yeah.
stresses me out. I thought that was a really good.
I love to put the kitchen to bed, and then I always in my mind like if I stopped and did dishes every time there was a dish, like I would literally. I mean, I am in the kitchen all the time, but I would be standing at the sink all day. And so
Right.
for me, I've always just said like I'll do dishes after lunch, and then I'll do dishes after dinner. And if there's stuff in between, if there's time, great. But if not, like I can walk past. My mom growing up, she was like, she always had to have dishes done and put away. And that was not, I was like, I can't be that
I know. My mom was that way too. Like everything has its place. And I think
way.
when you're all home, like when we're all home together on break or when it's the summertime,
Oh yeah,
I mean, that would be your full-time job, just picking up and putting away just rinse and repeat all day long.
absolutely.
How, I'm curious. So you've got a lot of structure, it sounds like, with schooling and chores. What do you guys
Mhm.
do to kind of build in like flexible, fun family time? So I mean, I would imagine with homeschooling, there's a lot centered around learning that they can do just sort of organically, right, throughout the day. But how do you
Sure.
guys sort of build in family time that's not learning?
So we stepped back, gosh, probably right around the time we started homeschooling, because of COVID and everything. We stepped back from a lot of extracurricular activities that were individual. At the time, one of my daughters was doing ballet, and it was turning into 3, 4 nights a week, thousands of dollars. It was just, and it was taking away from time we could have as a family. And also, I think some people don't, I have a 3-year-old and a 15-year-old. So like if the 15-year-old was gone all the time, she would never see like the relationship would just not be there. And it's just their
Yeah.
relationship is so beautiful. Not that we're saying no to activities, but we really try to be um, very specific about what we want our family time to look like. And like last week or 2 weeks ago, we went on a day trip to Mammoth Caves to take a hike in the national park. We could not do that if our kids were in a ton of winter sports because we'd have to be here for the games, which there's nothing wrong with that. But just for our personal family, we like to have more flexibility to have actual family time. Like that's one of the reasons we chose to spend our money on the ski passes because honestly, we're on the chairlifts together, we're skiing together, like we are together during that time. So although I have homeschool friends who do tons of organized sports and it's a huge blessing. Like their whole family goes, it's wonderful. But for us, it was just not the right fit for us. And I think if I had a kid, honestly, who was really into a sport, of course I would like make it happen. But none of my kids have been, I'm playing soccer, I love soccer. And we have tried, it's not like we haven't tried those things. But for us, especially once we kind of made this shift and decided we wanted to be a little more intentional about those decisions, that's given us flexibility to actually do more as a family, if that makes sense.
And I mean, skiing is a sport. I mean, it's very
Exactly.
active.
Yes. Yeah.
It's interesting. My kids are 4 years apart. My daughter played club volleyball. And when you think of the millions of hours that you are
Yeah.
sitting in a warehouse, and, I didn't really want him just sitting on an iPad watching his sister play. So we would have to divide up. And,
Yep.
she did that for several years. But it's true, you are a divided family when you do these more competitive sports, and the cost is outrageous. Like,
It
especially
is.
when they start traveling. And I feel like you cannot avoid the travel, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
And like I said, I would never. I think it's awesome that it works for some families. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to say that it's not a good thing. Like
right.
sports are wonderful, and I know so many people,
Yeah.
but just for our personal family, it wasn't the right fit to do all these travel things or even like the big ballet commitments because it was eating into our family time and it was kind of stressful at nighttime, honestly.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think that making that decision feels so empowering. I think to not feel, at least I have felt when you make these sort of decisions that really works best for your family, it feels good to not feel like you're being, sort of pushed into doing something because everyone else is or all their friends are doing it. It's nice that I
Sure.
think we've come to this sort of stage in our lives where we can say that's what works best for us and, cheers to you and enjoy the
Yeah,
warehouse for 50 hours on the weekend.
definitely.
I wanted to dive in a little bit about cooking and prep because you talk so much about prep, and one of the
Yeah.
things that I love to share with my clients is how a common protein prep or a vegetable prep, and I think you definitely excel at this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts just on maybe a weekend prep or how someone could prep things to get ahead for the weekday. I'd love to hear more
Absolutely.
about that.
That's such a good question, honestly. And I see so many different styles of prep. And I don't think there's a wrong way, but what works for me is I like to look 3 days out. I'm always thinking 3 days out because that's about how much time it takes to defrost meat in my fridge. So I'm always thinking 3 days from now, I think we're going to need to cook the chicken, or I think we're going to need to pull some ground beef out of the freezer, that kind of thing. Or I'm going to need to get to, if I bought this at Costco, I probably need to use it by the state. But my goal in prep is to not actually make entire meals. Like
Okay.
I find that very limiting. I would rather have a cooked protein or multiple cooked proteins in my fridge, ready to go. It's like if I'm cooking chicken, I am cooking a boatload of chicken. If I'm making, even in the summer, if I'm making burgers on the grill, I'm like filling the grill with burgers because having a cooked protein ready to go, it is freeing to then be more creative when you are going to make a meal because I'm not starting with a raw meat and taking time to deal with all that. Like if I'm starting with a cooked chicken, oh my gosh, there's so many things you can do with any kind of chicken, grilled, shredded, roasted, whatever. You can do so much with that versus starting with, if you're standing there with raw chicken, okay, now I got to cook the chicken. I got to make a sauce. And I'm making a mess. I mean, it's so much faster also. So for me, I don't do like a lot of, let me make a huge meal and then we're going to eat it for the next 5 days, which honestly, who wants to eat? I mean, I
Yeah.
like some meals. There's like a time for hyperfixation on something, but
Right.
in general, my family of seven doesn't want to eat like the same pot of chili for 7 days in a row.
Right.
But like if I'm making chili, I'm also going to take some of the ground beef and I'm going to brown it in another pan maybe, and then just set that aside and we'll make tacos with it later that week or something like that. So that's kind of how I approach like a meal prep versus actually cooking an entire meal, if that makes sense.
Does. I love that. I think too, do you find that that works for if folks in your family, maybe not everyone wants a taco, maybe they want it as a
Oh my gosh, yes.
quesadilla,
You've
like
seen that. Yeah,
the
we
stuffed
are,
pepper, the deconstructed
yes.
pepper, right?
I have some severely picky kids. We have food allergies in our family, and honestly, I'm just at a place in my life where like everyone just needs to eat, I spent years in feeding therapy with one of my kids because it was just it was not the kind of thing where you could just let the kid starve. He would have starved. So I am not a proponent for my family, at least, of saying this is what we're eating and no one's eating anything else. So I do try really hard to do, like you said, deconstructed things so that at the end of the day, we're all probably going to eat like the chicken or we're all probably going to eat like the taco meat, but it might be in a slightly different format. But again, I have the flexibility to do that because I already cooked a lot of this protein. So now when comes time to plate it, I can be a little creative. Like this person's going to have it this way, this person's going to have it this way. And I've got the extra 5 minutes to make those accommodations. I mean, otherwise, I think I'd be spending even more time cooking because I was trying to accommodate, or we'd be eating a lot of like chicken nuggets, which there's nothing wrong. I love a chicken nugget moment, but I think we'd eat a lot more of those if I wasn't trying to accommodate based on the proteins I was already cooking, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think you did a stuffed shell recipe that
Yes.
kind of highlighted that everyone, we're all eating stuffed shells. Maybe you just pick
Yes.
and choose what you want. And I love that. I think it's more efficient. It gives you more
Mhm.
flexibility. It
Yeah.
allows for those allergies or preferences. I think that's so smart.
Thanks.
Okay, I have one more question and then we'll go into the rapid fire questions, which I'm
Okay.
so excited about. What's your current wellness routine? I see you in your basement, and I'm not really sure what you're doing, so I'm just curious.
So, uh, my husband and I lift weights together. I'd say three, maybe four mornings a week. We'd
Nice.
love to do 4 mornings. I'm going to be honest, it's probably more like three.
Okay.
We get
I
up
love
before the
that.
kids. Now, I never, when I had babies and I was breastfeeding, I would never ever have done this. So for me, this is just the season of my life I'm in that I can.
Yeah.
But again, it's only like 3 or 4 mornings a week because some mornings will want to sleep in, and then on mornings when I have co-op, I have to get up and like get going. We have to be on the
Okay.
road super early. Um, but we lift weights together. We watch a fun TV show. We like watched we rewatch shows. I'm trying to think what we just finished. We finished watching, we were watching Parks and Rec, and now we're watching Modern
Oh,
Family. Just like easy breezy sitcoms
yes.
we've already seen before. So like it doesn't, we don't have to pay attention.
Right.
And then I like to walk on a treadmill, like an incline at nighttime. And I'll either do Instagram stuff or I'll watch a show. I mean, I like to walk outside too, but honestly, I feel like I sometimes feel like I get a better workout on a treadmill just because I can just
Right.
set the incline and just walk.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. I would love to be able to do a pull-up. That's like a goal of mine. I cannot do like a pull-up from completely arm hanging. I just have not gotten there. So I've been trying to work on that, but I haven't gotten a pull-up. I'm trying to think what else I do. I do wear a weighted vest often when I'm cleaning my house,
Okay. That's
because I feel
smart.
like I'm squatting and if I'm washing
Yeah.
bathrooms, I just throw the weighted vest on. And I have a heavy one. I have a 25-pound one, which I know is pretty heavy but that's because I literally have been wearing babies for like 15 years. And so I'm
That's
used to
true.
having a heavy, like my 3-year-old Daphne is over 25 pounds. I'm used to that weight on me. And I'm not wearing it for hours, but I'll
Right.
wear that when I'm around the house cleaning. So I try to get like little blips of exercise here and there with that. But that's pretty much what I
Smart.
do in terms of fitness stuff. And then activities with my kids like hiking, skiing, that kind of thing.
Right. So very active. I love the strength training together, and I'm with you. That hike, like on that incline on the treadmill, I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
can be pouring in sweat. It's so funny. I haven't gotten a weighted vest yet, but I told my husband it's like when we used to carry the kids around in the Bjorn. And
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm ready for that yet. Like it's so much. My kids spent years, it felt like,
Yes.
in those things. They're
Yes.
attached to you one way or the other.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's like once you hit a certain age, you're like required to have one of them, I think these days.
yes. Yes.
Although I was thinking about getting a slightly lighter weight one because I sometimes get a little neck back pain wearing it. So I don't know, I'm 42, so I guess we're gonna
I
get that
love it.
going.
That's awesome. Okay, the part that I've been most excited about, the lightning round.
Okay.
So whatever comes to mind first.
Mhm.
Favorite kitchen gadget right now?
This has been my favorite kitchen gadget for a long time. I love my Whiskware salad dressing
Oh,
container.
okay.
I make homemade salad dressing and it works. It's like when you have a gadget, and I don't know if maybe it's not, it's like a vessel and it
Yeah.
has a little whisk in it and it doesn't leak. So it's easy to use, it's easy to wash. I've had mine forever. I think I might buy a second one so I can have two different kinds of salad dressings at the same time because I only have one. And anytime
Okay.
I try to make a salad dressing in like a mason jar, it's just like it doesn't mix well, it doesn't pour well. Like, no,
I love
my
it.
Whiskware kitchen, it works.
I'm developing my Christmas list right now as we speak.
Okay.
If you were stuck on a desert island and could only bring three ingredients.
Okay, three ingredients. When I think desert island, I think warm. So I'm
Yep.
thinking like Mexican food. So I think I would bring avocado salsa. I
Ooh.
get that they only have it in the summertime at Costco, but I buy it
Okay.
like in huge quantities because it is so good. And I'd probably bring like seasoned taco meat and chips.
Nice.
Like I could honestly snack on that for a long time and not get bored with it.
Sounds amazing to me. Okay, what's your go-to quick weeknight dinner that you would recommend to your best friend if she, just needed to go into her kitchen and make something fast?
Okay, so is the dinner for me or is it for my family?
Do both.
Okay, if it was for me, I'm gonna do like I'm gonna do like a bed of kale from my fridge. I'm gonna add my dressing to it, and then whatever protein I have in my fridge, typically some kind of a chicken. I'm gonna warm that up in a pan with like maybe a little barbecue sauce, put that on top, and then like maybe some sliced red onions, and if I have any like random leftover veggies, and then like eat it all up like that. Like
Yum.
I like that kind of meal.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
then for
delicious.
my go-to quick meal, and I was actually just talking about this the other day, and this is gonna sound crazy, is a homemade pizza, which I know would not be quick to most people, but I have been making this crispy cheesy pan pizza from King Arthur Flour for years. It was their recipe of the year. I think it was in 2020 or 2022. I can't remember which year it was. But you make the dough and it just sits in your fridge for like 2, 3, 4 days, whatever. And like the dough, you just have to mix ingredients. It does not, there's no like kneading involved. And then the day you want to make pizza, you just pull it out of your fridge at like 2 o'clock. You plop it into a cast iron skillet that has oil on it. You let it sit on your counter and let it rise for like 2, 3, 4 hours. You add your toppings, pop it in the oven. Like it is super fast, and there's no cleanup, and there's
Okay.
no like pizza peel cornmeal. So to me, that is a quick dinner,
Yeah.
and my kids love it. Like
Okay.
5 out of 5 kids, they love this pizza. So that's
Oh,
what
I
I would.
love that. Guilty pleasure snack.
Okay, I like to take a bowl, like a small bowl. I'll put chocolate chips from Trader Joe's, the dairy-free ones,
Yeah.
a little bit of coconut oil, microwave that, and then I will add in like a scoop of natural peanut butter and like a little bit of honey or maple syrup and swirl it around, and
Ooh.
then add a little bit of salt on top, pop that in the fridge, and then I'll put the kids to bed and all that, and then I'll come back and it's like a homemade Reese's peanut butter cup, but like so much better.
Oh, yum. Okay, are you a Kirkland peanut butter person or are you a Trader Joe's peanut butter person?
I prefer the Kirkland. They did change recently. Like they used to be a different container, but I think it's pretty similar. And I don't actually live super close to a Trader Joe's.
Okay.
So I might say Trader Joe's if I live close. Whenever I go to Trader Joe's, I literally buy so much chocolate because they have the best price for dairy-free chocolate.
Yeah.
Um, so I buy a lot of the chocolate, but I live close to a Costco, so I get the peanut butter there.
Okay, got it. Go to morning beverage.
I'm a water person. I'm boring. I drink water. I, I don't drink
I
caffeine.
gasp.
I know. I don't drink caffeine. I will in the wintertime, I'll have like a tea moment, like a decaf tea or like an Earl Grey
Wow,
decaf, but I don't drink caffeine, so um I just drink
so
water.
impressive. High five. Good job. All of us out here running on caffeine need to maybe pause and
I know. I've always had tachycardia problems with my heart. So like if I
okay,
just found like if I drank caffeine, it just made me like really, really like it just maybe it's also because I don't drink caffeine, so it just hits me
really
really, really
hard.
hard. So I still eat chocolate and stuff, but I don't drink caffeine.
Okay. Okay, two more.
Yeah.
Favorite vacation destination. Could be a bucket list trip or someplace you've been that you really love.
Oh gosh, that's a good one. Where did I go? I'm trying to think. I really loved my family. We went to New York City 2 years ago with our kids, and it was really fun. We went in May. It was beautiful. We went to like all the destinations. We got to see everything, and it was really a fun like family trip. I loved being there. I would love to take my family to Europe someday. I mean, that's just it's so expensive, the flights and everything.
Yes.
But I think that'd
Yes.
be really fun to like go and see all that. There's so much in the world to see. And my teenager especially, she has wanderlust. She just wants to see the world and do all the things. So I'd love to do that in terms of like a dream trip someday.
Well, that's awesome. They'll love it when you go, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
And then last question, what's something that people may not know about you that might surprise them to find out?
Oh, that's a good question that people might not know about me. I have to think about that for a second. Well, a lot of people probably don't know that I don't eat gluten and dairy. I don't talk about that a ton on Instagram. I mean, I'm very open about it but they
Yeah.
see I cook a lot of foods with gluten and I actually don't eat eggs either. So, I had to cut all that out. I have Hashimoto's, like an autoimmune disorder.
Yep.
And years ago, my antibodies were just through the roof. And the doctor was like, you should try cutting out gluten and then I cut out dairy, and then I was having problems with eggs, so I've cut all that out. And honestly, people hear that and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like what are you eating?" But honestly, I eat a ton of variety, but it's just I think it would surprise a lot of people because I do cook still with gluten, eggs, and dairy often, although not a ton of eggs because two of my kids are allergic to eggs. But yeah, a lot of the baked goods I make. I cooked the entire series of King Arthur flour recipe of the year earlier this year, and I couldn't eat a single one of those.
Wow. That's interesting. I have hypothyroidism. I don't have
Oh,
Hashimoto's, but
okay.
once I eliminated my antibodies were very high also. And once I
Oh,
eliminated gluten, dairy, and eggs this year were just giving me such problems. I mean, I
mhm.
can have them cooked in things, but I can't like eat an egg, right?
Yeah,
I can't even explain. I'm sure you can understand how much inflammation was reduced and bloat
yeah,
and just naturally
yeah.
feeling a lot better. And I do agree, I still do like sheep's milk, I do goat's milk, I just don't do cow's milk.
Oh, interesting. I have not tried like the other dairy options personally. My husband actually can't have dairy either. So it
Wow.
is like whenever we have, dinner, especially family dinners, although I grew up, my younger brother's also allergic to gluten. So, and that was, 20, 30 years ago. So
Wow.
my mom tells stories, they'd go to restaurants and she'd say, well, we need a burger like with no bun. And they'd bring it out and like take the bun off, and we'd have bread all over it.
Oh
I mean,
my gosh.
it is so much. Our world has changed so much that we even have
Yes.
gluten-free menus now when you go
Right.
places. So it's what a time to be alive that if you can have these accommodations, but it's certainly a challenge to to make those things work, which is why I still do cook with those because my kids want to eat like pizza sometimes, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to make that for them.
Right. I agree. I love that we can, like I mentioned earlier, be so flexible in our cooking and just,
Yeah.
make these modifications. I always tell people we eat a common protein, we just might eat it differently. And it sounds like your family runs kind of in a similar fashion.
And the more often you do something, I think the more routine it is.
Yep.
I'm sure some people are going to hear this and be like, "Oh my gosh, like why are you're cooking this and then you can't even eat this?" But for me, it's a routine thing because we've I've done it this way for many years, and
Right.
it works for my family. But it's not like I'm over there eating eating like a little rabbit food while everyone else is feasting on something. Don't worry,
Yeah.
I am not wilting away.
No, we're not just munching on iceberg lettuce and carrots,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being here today. You just have this calm sort of confidence about the way that you do things. Like here on our call, I feel like we're just, sitting at our kitchen table together, talking with
Yeah.
each other. It's been truly lovely. I think you make homemaking feel approachable instead of overwhelming. And I just really appreciate you, number one, coming on here and sharing with me your tips and your mindset. And to everyone listening, go follow Home Begins with Love if you don't
Thank you.
already. And
Thank
let
you.
this be your reminder that home does not have to be perfect to be
No,
meaningful. And I just really want to thank you so much.
thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Yeah.